to give our final speech. I just want to say a few words about this, about Dr. Hasnain Valji. Dr. Hasnain Valji has obtained a PhD in nutrition from LaSalle University. He is a researcher, a writer, and a pure academic. He is also the former president of the World Federation in London. And aside from authoring over 20 books, he has given countless lectures around the world on Imam Hussain and focuses his attention on the youth of this community. He also is a leading voice among the interfaith community in Los Angeles and other parts of the world. Please welcome Dr. Hasnain Valji with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والحمد لله الذي جعلني من أمتي سيد المرسلين خاتم النبيين طه وياسين أحمد محمود أبو القاسم محمد. Friends, I greet everyone here once again with the Islamic greeting of peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Today, I stand before you as one individual of the 300 million persons on this planet around the world who are directly influenced, who adore, who adulate one man. That man is none other than Hussain. Labbaik ya Hussain. Who is this Hussain is a question that the world asks when they see us with the Azai Hussain, when they see us mourning, when they see us chanting the lamentation poetry, they ask, who is this Hussain? Well, today, the 1400 years old almost, this man's grave becomes the largest human gathering on this planet, the largest peaceful human gathering on this planet on an annual basis. That is the power of Hussain. Who is this Hussain? Who is this man whose name evokes such emotions 14 centuries after he has passed away? To get to know him, allow me to transport you back to 680 Christian era, on the hot desert plains of Karbala. Karbala was not known. It was after the Iraq war that the news media understood the power of Karbala. When Saddam fell, the very first Arba'in, over a million, 2 million people gathered impromptu without any organization whatsoever. Not a single casualty was reported. This is the power of Hussain. Picture, my friends, that if you see a society that was once steeped in tyranny, cruelty and oppression, just 50 years after the passing away of the blessed Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Indeed, it was Prophet Muhammad who brought the message of peace to a society which was steeped in oppression. Only 50 years after the passing away of the blessed Prophet, the world was again engulfed in the same oppression and in the same tyranny that we had. And it was injustice at the social level, injustice at the economic level, injustice at the political level, injustice at the personal level. This was a challenge that was being faced by the society at large. There was suppression of people's thoughts in the midst of all this tyranny. Rises a man who fiercely speaks against the ruler of the time. The ruler of the time, he demands justice, he demands liberty, he demands freedom. These are the values of humanity. They are not only limited to any one faith, These are the values of the society that we live in. This great nation was founded on those very principles of liberty and justice. And indeed, what was his fate? He was not listened to by the tyrant. What was his fate? His fate was on the 10th day of the first lunar month of the Muslim calendar. This man, in that afternoon, on the day that we call Ashura, he stands alone. There was nobody left to support him. His quest for justice had brought him to Karbala against the tyrant that we know as Yazid. This was the name of this tyrant who was oppressing the masses. He sought an allegiance. He sought an oath of allegiance from Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain refuses. What is the result? What is the fate? Imam Hussain is brought. The tyrant of the time pushes him to this isolated place in the desert with his family, with his companions. 72 close companions were massacred. Even his 6-month-old baby who had joined him, his family, the 6-month-old baby was also had an arrow pierced in his throat, and his family was taken as the worst of prisoners that humanity could see. The world sees a crime against humanity. I invite the court in Hague to look into this as the greatest crime against humanity. That was the fate of Hussain. Friends, now this Hussain is alone. He has wiped his blood off his 6-month-old baby's blood on his face. And now, hungry, thirsty, he had not had blood, he had not had any water or food for 3 days. And yet, he had the courage to face his enemies fearlessly, and he said, and I quote, these are the words he say, that I find death for the sake of the truth to be absolute happiness, and to live in support of tyranny as true death. Defining happiness to be free, to have the freedom, was a principle that Hussain taught us. My friends, this man is none other than Hussain, the grandson of the Blessed Prophet. Over the course of history, there are many people, Muslims and non-Muslims, who have been influenced by the thoughts, by the deeds, by the strong stand of Al-Hussain against tyranny. Amongst them was the great soul Mahatma Gandhi. And he said, and I quote, that I learned from Hussain how to achieve victory while being oppressed. From Hussain, I learned how to achieve victory while being oppressed. This became the inspiring core philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi that was able to overturn an empire upon which the sun never set. This is the power of Hussain. This is the Hussain that we know. In turn, we know that Mahatma Gandhi was the one who inspired Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, and many other freedom fighters. This is all the power of Al-Hussain Salawat. Why do we ask? Why? The question we ask is why? And here is the answer. Here is the answer to say that Hussein's name is synonymous with human dignity. Hussein's name is synonymous with patience. Hussein's name is synonymous with bravery. Hussein's name is synonymous with valor. Above all, Hussein's name is synonymous with justice. This is the core philosophy. If the world, the reason why I say the name Hussain being synonymous with every great value of humanity is, if only the world understood who is Hussain, they'll be able to value and see the great faith that we have. And Hussain belongs to the great Islamic faith, a faith faith of justice, a faith of pure social justice, a faith of the truth. And here, I have a message for our President Barack Hussain Obama. In one of his speeches, he said that Mitt is Romney's middle name. And what happens if I use my middle name? Well, I have a message for our President. If you understand the name of Hussain, then you will know that we are so blessed and fortunate to have the word Hussain, because Hussain embodies every good value that every leader and every president, every human being, every man, every woman, every child needs to become a Hussaini in order to have that spirit of justice and truth. Therefore, Mr. President, do not be shy, do not be embarrassed of your middle name. You have a great middle name, you have a great legacy, and you have a great legacy to uphold. And there is that expectation from you, Mr. President, to uphold truth and justice wherever it may be. My friends, when we talk about Hussain, today we see that this world, we have been blessed with such a great place. But what we have is corruption and oppression. Double standards are actually stemming in this society. Do you know that our statistics tell us that 94% of the world's wealth is used by 40% of the people? 94% of the world's wealth is being used by 40% of its people. Talk about social and economic justice. That a shocking 6% is distributed amongst the remaining 60%. This is what Hussain stood up against in terms of economic justice, in terms of social justice. Who are these people who will care about these injustices? These are the people who make Hussain their role model. They are the ones, we are the ones who must be at the foremost to care about the ideas of injustice in a society, because that is what Hussain stands for. And therefore we have a message for the world at large to say, when the people of Syria are under a yoke of cruelty, we care. Let us make Hussain our role model and go to the fore to the defense of those innocent men, women, and children who are being oppressed in Syria. We see oppression in Bahrain. Let us be those Hussainis. Let the world follow the example of Hussain to remove this inequity and social injustice in the people of Bahrain. The mothers of Gaza are crying out. They're wiping off their tears. They're losing their young. My friends, it is the value of Hussain that is going to save the mothers of Gaza, that is going to bring sanity into this insanity that prevails in this world. The Christians of Egypt are suffering. The Shias of Pakistan are being butchered. The Muslims of Mali are being persecuted in the name of Islam. My friends, there are so many injustices. If we only understood who is Hussain, what are the values of Hussain, then this world will understand how to stand up against any tyrant. There was no bigger tyrant than Yazid. Hussain stood up against him. And those who have made Hussain the role model, those who sit here inspired by Hussain, I ask them this question. I ask myself this question, to say, what will we tell them? What will we tell our grandchildren when they ask, what did you do? What did you do when you saw inequity and oppression in the society that you lived in? Shall we tell them? Shall we tell our progeny to say that we stood by silently watching people being killed, being oppressed, that we did not do anything about it? As we heard earlier from Dr. King, he said, and I quote again, it was Martin Luther King Jr., he said, justice denied anywhere diminishes justice everywhere. This is the idea of justice, and this is the idea of the message of Hussain when he said, Mithli la yuwahi mithlahu. He did not say that I'm not going to have the allegiance of Yazid. He said the likes of me cannot have an oath of allegiance to the likes of Yazid. That means he was including all of us in that bayah to say that the likes of us cannot succumb to any kind of oppression. That is the meaning of following Al-Hussain, and that is the meaning of giving tribute to Al-Hussain. Today, my friends, we mourn Hussain, but our tears are not the tears of history. Our tears are the tears of the present. Our heart cries out for any oppression, because, let me end on this note, that it was towards that end, Hussain stands up and turns. He was alone as I began. Hussain was alone. There was nobody left. All of his companions had given their lives. Hussain stands up with the blood of his 6-month-old baby on his clothes and on his hands. And he turns, he looks at the enemy, and he turns in 4 different directions to say, Hal min nasirin yansurna, that is there any helper who will help me? Why did he turn in 4 directions? All his companions were dead. All his companions had become martyred. Why did he say, Hal min nasirin yansurna, is there a helper that is going to help me? Ask yourself, my friends, why did he say that? It was a clarion call for action for humanity at all times. This was his final battle cry. Let us remind ourselves at I end to say that his final battle cry was a call to stand up and be counted. It was a call to establish the truth. It was a call to do the right thing. It began on the battlefield of Karbala 14 centuries ago, but continues today. This Juloos, this procession today is a testimony. The sun does not set on the Azhar of Al-Hussain. It began in New Zealand. There was Azhar of Hussain, there was mourning for Hussain. This morning it began in New Zealand. It continues this way. We are still doing it for the next 10 days. The sun does not set on this principle. It is for that, my friends, that we acknowledge and we say, whoever is being unjustly treated or is being oppressed, the call Hussain resonates to say, help me fight this justice. Help me fight, bring justice. Help me fight this injustice. And that indeed is the call of Al-Hussain. And it is for that reason we need to tell the world to say, who is Hussain? Well, this is Hussain. In the words of the revolutionary poet Josh Manevadi, I say that दुनिया को इस कौम को बेदार तो होने न दो, हर कौम पुकारेगी हमारा Hussain. The idea is that if people understand, if people wake up to this, then they'll all say that Hussain is ours. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.